Olivia and Polia had been chums since the 8th grade. Educators often dismiss their bond. Emma, a top-notch student, and Olivia, not exactly the belle of the ball, seemed an odd pair, yet their camaraderie flourished. Emma even succeeded in boosting her friend's academic performance, and together they gained admission to the local institute, where they both took part in the student theater. The catch was their contrasting roles. Emma glided through as princesses and aristocrats, while Olivia filled minor, often overlooked parts. Yet Olivia never voiced a grievance. She simply remarked, "What matters is that we're performing together." Emma reassured her, shrugging off any worries regarding her friend's feelings. Emma encountered Ethan at the playhouse. His striking looks and impressive physique often landed him leading roles, and frequently, he and Emma portrayed lovers, inevitably drawing them closer in real life. Their affection blossomed naturally. It seemed as if the universe had destined them for one another. They shared effortless, joyful days meandering through the city lanes, deeply engrossed in conversations about characters and screenplays, often neglecting their studies. Yet studying came naturally to Emma, allowing her ample energy to assist Olivia whenever needed. Right after they got their diplomas, they tied the knot. Their classmates genuinely cheered for the newlyweds, believing they were a match made in heaven. Gorgeous, gifted, and adored by all. Even Ethan's admirers admitted that Emma was the perfect wife for him. However, there was one girl who watched the couple with sorrow and did not join in the chorus of bitter. Emma and Ethan began their married life in his parents' home. His father had passed away 5 years earlier, and his mother had moved to live with her elder son in another city. At first, they were like two peas in a pod, especially with the initial support from their parents. But trouble brewed when Ethan had to find a job to provide for himself and his wife. With a baby on the way, the strain began to show. Emma was absolutely floored by her husband's sheer laziness. He not only desired a job where he could avoid any form of work, but he also wished to be remunerated like a high-ranking official. Within the confines of their home, he adamantly declined to assist his wife, firmly asserting that tasks such as cleaning and cooking were not fitting for a man. Additionally, he believed that tending to the farm and vegetable garden were completely outside of his jurisdiction. Consequently, Emma had to shoulder the entire burden on her own, toiling away at work while simultaneously managing everything. Thankfully, Olivia always came to the rescue, lending a helping hand in whatever way she could. Emma was at a loss for ways to express her gratitude towards her dear friend. It was 9 months later when Emma welcomed a precious little bundle into the world, a baby girl named Mia. Mia proved to be a serene and delightful child, capturing the hearts of everyone she encountered. In fact, when Emma took Mia for a stroll, they had to shield the baby with a cover, because the sight of her beauty would invariably draw loud and admiring exclamations from passersby. Such displays of affection worried Emma, causing her to fear that her daughter might attract some sort of ill fate. However, little did Emma know that it was not the child who would face trouble, but rather herself. When Mia reached the tender age of 6 months, Olivia took her for a standard checkup at the nearby pediatric clinic. It was merely a brief stroll away. However, as they ventured back home, they were met by a fiercely blowing wind so strong that a limb snapped from the tree they were passing under. It came crashing down right on Emma's head. Emma's recollection resumed in a hospital room, where she opened her eyes to see Olivia at her side. Struggling to speak, she murmured, "Where's Maya?" "The little one's just fine. No need to fret. She's back at home with Ethan now, and your mom's there too. We're gonna switch later. She'll pop by here to see you. She's all torn up about this. Poor thing even had a heart attack, but you've gotta stay calm. The doctors say surgery's on the cards for you since a piece of bone's lodged in your brain, which is pretty risky. But hey, don't sweat about Mia. I'm gonna take some time off work and handle everything at home. Your mom isn't up to it, what with her condition and all. So I'll be there for Mia and keep the house running. Gratefully, Olivia blinked, barely managing to give her friend's hand a gentle squeeze. Indeed, the physician informed Ethan and Olivia that the chances for a positive result from this surgery were exceedingly slim. A significant piece of cranial bone had lodged itself against the brain, and the outcome was uncertain. They could opt to summon a seasoned surgeon from the capital, but that would come at a cost, or they could place their faith in the local neurosurgeons instead. Ethan chose to keep this information from Emma's mother to avoid causing her distress, and he himself consented to the procedure with a local doctor, citing financial constraints. Whatever fate awaited them, so be it. "You have a lovely name." Emma heard a warm male voice as she struggled to open her eyes. "I'm the surgeon who'll be performing your operation. Don't worry. I'll do everything in my power to ensure you return to your family." Standing beside Emma was a tall, relatively young man, quite handsome to behold. Why does he look so young? How can he possibly have the experience? Emma had a fleeting thought before darkness overcame her. David gazed at the young woman, marveling at her exquisite beauty and pondering how someone as smooth-tongued as Ethan had managed to win such a wife. The gifted and promising doctor didn't particularly care for Ethan. David admonished himself, warning against dwelling on her too long, as he might inadvertently fall in love and jeopardize the surgery she needed to treat her nosebleeds. Otherwise, he would forever be haunted by the memory of this captivating girl. A sigh escaped his lips as he conceded, "Regardless, she will indubitably remain etched in my mind for the rest of my days." The operation went off without a hitch. David accomplished the near miraculous, managing to save the life of this stunning young woman. Now begins the arduous journey of recovery, and above all, she needs nurturing and affection. David, however, had his reservations about whether Emma's husband would be able to provide that for her. He once overheard the man chatting on his phone in the hospital hallway, saying they did the operation without charge. Why should I have to cough up any money? It's not like there's anything worth spending on. The Queen has really overreached. David felt a pang in his chest. How could you talk that way about Emma? But it was her spouse, and he had no power here. After 3 weeks, Emma was sent home, though she still wasn't permitted to leave her bed or do much of anything. Olivia set up a bed for her in a room at the back of the house to keep things quiet. Emma couldn't help but notice Olivia seemed to have taken over as the lady of the house. She handled the chores, took care of the baby, and even gave Ethan directions. Emma felt grateful to her friend, yet something gnawed at her. It was particularly unsettling in the evenings when, after feeding Emma and putting Mia to sleep, Olivia and Ethan would whisper suspiciously in another part of the house. And her husband rarely visited her room, always saying he was busy with something or other. After a week of turmoil, Olivia couldn't bear it any longer and directly confronted her friend. "Are you and Ethan having an affair?" Olivia's eyes widened in shock before she instinctively averted her gaze. "Really? You couldn't even wait for me to be gone?" she asked with a poignant bitterness. "I've done so much for you already," Olivia exclaimed unexpectedly. "And let's face it, you're still more beautiful and clever. Even your name sounds more elegant than mine. Plus, you've snagged the most charming husband. Maybe I had feelings for him before you came along. I won't stifle his creativity. He's a sensitive, artistic soul, and I'll bless him with a child, a son. Oh, and by the way, I'm pregnant." Emma listened to her friend and felt a wave of disbelief wash over her regarding her own ignorance. For years, she had failed to see the darkness lurking within Olivia. She and Ethan had formed a stunning pair. Perhaps it was a blessing that matters had come to light this way, but right now she didn't have the energy for that kind of introspection. Emma was too overwhelmed to respond to Olivia. Everything around her faded to black. "I'm genuinely pleased to see you, Emachka, but I wish it were under better circumstances." Emma opened her eyes to the sterile room of the hospital, seeing David, the doctor who had turned into something of a family figure. His gaze was filled with such warmth that it made her feel a bit self-conscious. In a moment of vulnerability, she poured her heart out to him, not entirely sure why. She just had the instinct that he could relate to her pain. When he smiled, her initial reaction was to take offense. But as he grasped her hand gently and murmured, "You will find happiness, Emma, I promise you that," a flicker of hope sparked within her. After a lapse of 2 years, two sets of couples came across each other at the park. Olivia, accompanied by a young lad in a buggy, alongside Ethan, sporting an unkempt appearance, clearly struggling from a hangover, and David, carefully assisting the radiant Emma, her belly distinctly round, while firmly gripping onto Mia's hand with his other. Emma beamed with pure joy, casting a fleeting nod towards her former acquaintance, who gazed upon her with an intensified sense of envy.